Okay, 6:30. We'll call the meeting to order, the Walker Planning Commission. First item on the agenda is a review of the meeting minutes from November 3. Any comments, questions, motions?
Motion to accept.
I'll support.
Motion by Tyler, supported by Scott, to approve the minutes of November 3, 2021. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Any comment from the public on something other than the agenda at hand? This is dealing with the come and go gas station C-store. Seeing none, we'll move to the first item on the agenda. Public hearing for the come and go project. Tricia is a planning director. Could you introduce the request?
Yep, thanks, Terry. So this project, as you mentioned, is for a company called Come and Go, which is a gas station and convenience store. And the action requested by the Planning Commission tonight is to review the final area site plan and to grant approval with or without conditions, tabling or denial of the request. And this is a final area site plan review. Property address is 2134 Alpine Avenue Northwest. The lot size is approximately 1.4 acres, and the zoning district is within the Avastar CPUD. Future land use designation is mixed use, and community character designation is urban corridor. And the general location of this project site is on the northeast corner of Alpine Avenue and the Avastar Parkway. And we have Michael McPherson, and we also have Dave Lemons with Come and Go with us tonight. So just a zoning and general location here. Here's the Avastar Parkway, Alpine Avenue, I-96 is up here, just north of the Grand Rapids border, and we're in the CPUD district, which also extends out this way as well. And so that Avastar CPUD looks like this. It encompasses these two sites. Here's the existing German auto building, which I'm sure you all remember reviewing not too long ago, maybe like 2 years ago. And at that time, they had asked for an amendment to the PUD to move around some property lines and to add the German auto site. So this is what the existing conditions look like here. German auto is fully done. It's had its occupancy since earlier this year. And the project site that we're looking at here is in this yellow dashed area. And the PUD also includes the Popeye's Chicken site and this other strip mall that contains the Big B Coffee and Pizza Hut. And as you can see, this is the former Lear site, giant building that once closed down. And the Avastar PUD was developed in an effort to kind of keep the revitalization in that area and encourage some land uses. And so the city put some funding into the Avastar Parkway, the road there, to try to bring additional businesses to that area so that it didn't die completely with Lear. Luckily, Lear is or not Lear, but the building that used to be Lear is thriving now with a lot of other smaller businesses within the larger building. And when the Avastar PUD was approved, there were some land uses that the Planning Commission and staff felt were important to sort of put restrictions on to keep the intensity of land use to somewhat of a minimum. And so most of the really intensive automotive land uses are prohibited within this PUD. Ones that make, really loud sounds, and, paint shop and steam cleaning and stuff that would be more appropriate in an outdoor commercial zone or heavy industrial. So the site plan for the subject site for the Come and Go store includes the building here. They are proposing a full service driveway here on Alpine Avenue, and then they share a driveway with the German Auto site. They also share a detention area here. The applicant has provided some loading zone and some large truck spaces. They also have a couple of spaces for electric vehicles when the time comes for adding some charging stations there. They also will offer a number of amenities along the outside of the store, like firewood and ice and propane, Redbox. Do people still get Redbox? I didn't think so. Also parking spaces, and then there are 6 fuel pumps here. So the convenience store is 5,620 square feet. I'm sure Dave will talk a little bit more about what makes the Come and Go store a little bit unique when compared to some of the other stores in the area. And so they are proposing all your typical site improvements. They've got a trash enclosure. They're proposing landscaping, lighting. They've pretty much, they had their site plan review committee meeting with staff, and the revised plans have pretty much met all of our recommendations and have met all the comments that we made. And so this is the elevation rendering, and you'll note that they include these bollards. I've seen like the Circle K, I think, do this with the bollards. They do that in place of a raised curb. So when you pull in, you're not getting out of your car and potentially tripping onto the sidewalk walking up to the store. So they have those bollards there, obviously for safety, so that cars can't crash into the building. While I have this elevation drawing up, I should note that Terry had a question about glass transparency. And so because the elevation drawing does not call out a percentage for the glass transparency, we ask that they revise the plan to include where it would be 100% transparent and areas where it would not be. Dave will probably talk a little bit more about areas that they don't plan to have full transparency through the glass, and that's for their employees and their business safety purposes, but we'll get into that more when it's his turn. The other thing that was brought up was whether or not the PUD disallowed a full service access on to Alpine Avenue. And this conceptual plan here was created by my predecessor, Dan Power. And this area here kind of highlights the area where the full service driveway is proposed. We all know that a gas station is the type of site that usually wants a full service driveway for better traffic circulation. And when we have these guys in for site plan review committee, we wanted to be consistent with having a right in, right out, just like we did with the J&H Oil gas station on Walker Avenue. Because obviously the least amount of curb cuts onto a main road like Alpine Avenue, the better. So we said, you know what, if you can conduct a traffic study and if the data points in the direction of a full service driveway being okay here and not impacting or not having negative impacts on the level of service of the surrounding intersections, then we would be okay with it. So I did include it in the packet, the that traffic study. And so the conclusions and the recommendations for that, no additional off-site improvements would be required or recommended as a result of allowing a full service driveway, and that the full service driveway would not have a negative impact on the surrounding intersection level of service. The last thing I'm going to talk about, and like I said, they've pretty much, the plans that they provided, they have addressed all of our concerns. This last thing that I want to talk about is the sign. So when the Avastar PUD, I think, was first developed, this Avastar Park sign was placed here, and it's not super clear who owns the sign. It's currently sitting on the applicant's property, and you'll see that the site plan shows that they have their proposed ground mount sign right here, and then here's this existing Avastar sign. Spoke to Dave a little bit before the meeting. He'll probably talk about this a little bit more, but what they plan to do is leave the Avastar sign where it is, and then place their come and go ground mount sign right here. And so they've included some renderings for their sign package that they plan to implement here, and staff is okay with that location. So that was really my only condition within my recommendation, outside of the fact that the revised plan set that we received does not have last revision dates. And so we like to reference that date often in our reports and in the record, so that we know which plan we're referring to, especially when there's a lot of iterations of a specific plan. So my recommendation is that the Planning Commission grant approval of the FASP for the Come and Go gas station, convenience store, and related site improvements in accordance with the plan set. Last revision dated, do you happen to know off the top of your head? It would have been after that. Yeah. We'll figure that out and get it. Yeah. Located at 2134 Alpine Avenue within the Avastar CPUD, subject to the following conditions. The applicant shall address all the items outlined in the city engineer's report dated 12/8/21. We can take out number 2, and then we can leave number 3, which states that the applicant shall provide 3 sealed sets of civil engineered plans incorporating the recommended revisions as well as accurate revision dates to the Community Development Department prior to the issuance of any building permits. And that's all for me.
Okay, any comments, questions for Tricia?
The first slide has J&H Oil on that. Is that a mistake?
Yes, that is a mistake.
Okay.
Thanks for pointing that out, Tom.
Just checking.
Appreciate that.
Said they were company owned, and it's like, okay.
Anybody else notice that?
Yeah.
Dave. That's the worst thing that happens to me today.
My apologies. I use a lot of templates, okay? Not my presentation.
Tricia, with respect to the preliminary area site plan for the overall area, did it show for a driveway at this location? The reason I'm asking, I don't see any problem with what they proposed, but whether or not our action would include acknowledging an amendment to the preliminary plan if there wasn't one shown there initially.
So driveway locations, property lines, and things like that change with when folks apply for development within a PUD. So if you remember with the J&H oil site, that full service driveway wasn't part of the PUD either. And I think the intent in the beginning was to keep all of those, or utilize all of those service roads within that Walkerview PUD. And I think the same thing applies here, where it doesn't necessitate a PUD amendment, but it's just a change that is more appropriate for the type of site that's being proposed here, versus being locked in. Because I think roadways and service drives, easements, building locations, parking lot locations, detention locations, those things all change depending on what is proposed for the site. And I think this driveway location is one of those.
Okay, all right, thank you. If there, any other comments?
Regarding the windows, are we leaving that up to staff to approve once they redraw them? Okay.
Yeah.
I have a question about that sign. It looks like it's gonna block the Avastar sign.
Tom, if you remember, and I'm sure Dave will talk about this a little bit more, they're going to leave the Avastar sign right here, and then they will move their sign to this location here.
So the sign that's up next to the Avastar sign is getting moved down to the, oh, I
Yes.
missed that, sorry.
Yep.
I see what you saw, yeah.
But if we don't know who owns that sign, why do we keep it?
Well, I mean, that was kind of my thought. If it's their property, when they buy that site, they couldn't find any easements for the sign.
I'll jump in. That was part of the branding for the industrial park early on. So over time, if the branding isn't important anymore, it could go away, but it was very important at the time the road was built and the project was redeveloped.
When the street's named aptly, so I mean, that covers that, I would think. So I mean,
I would say if somebody hit it with a car or something, we just wouldn't put it back up.
right, or a bulldozer that may be putting some landscaping in.
Okay, at this point, we'll turn it over to city engineer Scott Connors.
Well, I was just about to get out the gold stars when I was writing the report, and then I realized there wasn't a revision date, so I had to put them away. But Dave was in to see us, I think, 4 times before this plan came in, and the last visit, we said, you're getting your reputation as being very thorough. And I think that bled into their design team, because we had lots of comments, and they've addressed every single one of them, so we're comfortable.
Good job. It's rare to have a plan come here and it's like all in favor, say aye.
Okay, no other comments, questions? I'll turn it over to the applicant, opportunity to make a presentation.
All right, so I will
Push the button, please.
Tell us who you are.
I will. Yeah, my name's Dave Lemons. I'm a real estate development rep with Come and Go Convenience Stores. My address is 1629 Grand Avenue, Des Moines, Iowa, and I will be brief. But contextually, I wanted to give you an idea of who Come and Go is, as we're new to this market, and we're have done a nationwide search and settled on 3 markets in which we're going to expand. And Grand Rapids is one of the most important ones, and it's one of the first ones that we're expanding into. Out of our existing footprint, which is our home office is Des Moines, Iowa. We have about 406 convenience stores in 11 states. And if you just think about the corridor that is Minnesota, North Dakota, and run it all the way south to Missouri and Arkansas, we're in that corridor, as well as Montana, Wyoming, and Colorado. Most of our growth in the last few years has been in Colorado. We are also expanding into Utah. The first thing I get asked about with convenience store or with planning commission and city council meetings is what's the genesis of the name, because it's a name that kind of raises some eyebrows at times. The owner and his son-in-law are named Tony Gentle and Bill Kraus. So The G is from gentle and the K is from Kraus, and so that's the genesis of Come and Go. They wanted something catchy. They didn't really contemplate 62-ish years later some of the connotations. So that's where that comes from. So we'll cover that real quick. But as I said, we're based in Des Moines, Iowa. Convenience store and fuel is our main business. A few things that separate us from competitors in the market, and you have good competitors here. I think we build a superior asset. I think it is a better product than is there today, just visually. And Eric Lord, who's actually here tonight instead of Mike McPherson, will cover some of those things as we get into that. But we also hire 70% of our associates as full-time associates. They're benefited. Most retail operators operate off of a part-time model. We feel like we add value to the community by offering full-time jobs with benefits. We also add value to our business by hiring a better quality of person who has a schedule they know they can count on, and they're excited about working in the job that they're in. And so that differentiates us a little bit. We also have full kitchens, so you're going to see food made on site, a significantly different menu than you would normally see in a convenience store situation. We partner with local philanthropic organizations. We give back 10% a year of our annual profits philanthropically locally. A simple example of that is we've already partnered with United Way, but also locally with Habitat for Humanity. We'll do a full build for them in 2022 or 2023, depending on which one we're able to organize with them. So that's just one example, but it's something that we do to give back to the community rather than just coming to take from the community. We want to be part of the Grand Rapids community and more importantly, part of Walker in this situation. We also do food rescue. So last year we gave about 1.5 million meals away through different local partnerships with food rescue programs with schools and things like that. A simple example for here might be Kids Food Basket. That'd be a place that would make some logical sense from us, for our perspective, to partner with. As you mentioned, with the electric parking or parking for electric vehicle charging in the future, that's something we plan for down the road. We'll put conduit in all of our new builds so that we have the ability to put that in later on, and so we're addressing the market that's going to come for all of us at some point in time. And being from Iowa, I have to mention the fact that we're pretty much the leader in the convenience store business in fuel, in alternative fuels. So we are an ethanol state, and it's an ethanol business for us. We provide a lot of that. Certainly not all that we do, and that's not always accepted in other markets, so different animal from that perspective. But we feel strongly about our ability to compete here. We have 20 to 25 stores to build over the course of the next 3 to 4 years in the Grand Rapids MSA, or what you would see kind of as the Grand Rapids area, and are working with Tricia and Scott closely, and certainly appreciate all the help, advice, direction, and tolerance of my presence in your offices prior to coming to here our commission meeting tonight. So I'm going to actually turn it over to Eric Lord. He is with Atwell Engineering, and he's going to probably have a lot more detail and specifics about the building and the site plan and those things. So thank you very much. And I'll be here for questions if needed.
Good evening, everyone. Yes, Eric Lord with Atwell, 2 Town Square, Southfield, Michigan is my address. So yeah, I honestly don't have a whole lot more to add. I think, Tricia, I think you laid the plan out very well, and we think that the site fits very well. This is a nice complement to what is already been started with this process. There's an existing detention pond that was built that accommodates and was thought through to accommodate our side of the site, which is great. A couple things that I've heard and I saw in the review letters that we've already kind of touched on tonight. One being the sign on the corner. It is an interesting item as to whether or not that sign can just simply go away at this point or not. I think our original thought was that it was intended to be there, so we didn't want to rock the boat, and rather just left it there and looked for an alternate location for our sign, which we thought mid-block made perfect sense and was perfectly fine with us. So if the desire of the planning commission would be to clean that corner up and remove that sign, we're not necessarily opposed to it, but that was kind of our thought process there. And then also heard some conversation about glazing on the windows and the transparency, and we could certainly add that onto our plans. That's not an issue. So we'll make that revision and submit the 3 sets of plans and current date and all that there, so. But outside of that, I think, you know, the parking meets the ordinance requirements. Not really asking for any other variances or deviations or anything like that, so I think it's fairly straightforward. I don't want to take any more time than that, but I'm happy to answer any questions anyone has.
Is Quick Trip one of your competitors? Oh, okay, because they're really big in the Midwest there.
Yeah, so there's 2 Quick Trips, right? There's KT out of La Crosse, Wisconsin, and there's QT out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. QT would be the larger of the competitors, although KT is very large as well.
Any other comments, questions?
I make a motion, we open the public hearing.
Can I ask a question first?
Oh,
We're talking about transparency. I'm presuming that you're going to have more transparency in the area where the seating is.
I can
Yeah,
answer,
yeah, go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, so, can you, I'm not sure what you guys can see. So, the bulk of the glass or all the glass that's across the front of the store is transparent, completely transparent, with the exception of where it would allow someone to see into our point of sale, and that's purely for safety reasons. It'll be blocked out in that area, but transparent above it. From our perspective, and we've talked about this, we've built 25% of our stores are LEED certified, so we try to bring a lot of light into our buildings, right? And that's part of it. It creates a lot of safety from our perspective when associates can actually see outside what's going on, and as you pointed out earlier, it also creates safety from the public's perspective to be able to see what's going on behind that wall as well. So that's our transparency reasoning, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah. I think what you were trying to understand, whether it was actually transparent or whether it was, how opaque it was, but it's completely transparent,
Okay.
intentionally.
And you guys are a 24-hour operation?
We are 24 hours.
Okay.
Yes, we are.
Okay.
I now make a motion that we open the public hearing.
Motion by Tyler, supported by Steve to open the public hearing. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Same sign if you're opposed. Go ahead. Got a gentleman in the back. If you'd like to offer a comment on this or question, you.
I'm just here to see what's going on.
Okay, very good, very good.
I make a motion, we close the public hearing.
Support.
Motion by Tyler, supported by Steve to close the public hearing. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Well, any comments?
The sign that they were proposing to move, that would be set back behind the property line? Or, I'm just trying to get a gauge as to how close to the road it would be, just to, make sure it doesn't.
It has to be at least 5 feet from the property line. So we'll make sure that the setback is also added to the revised plans.
Yeah, it's there now. The 5-foot landscape setback, you can see it there.
Is that current Avastar Park sign lit? It looks like, or is there like,
I don't believe it's, if I can weigh in.
yeah,
It's not ground lit, right? There's no lights for I don't believe I haven't been there after dark to tell you whether.
yeah, I haven't been past in the dark here yet. Okay.
Maybe Mr. Buchanan would like it back,
Yeah, call Jack.
not junior, senior.
So, process forward on that particular Avastar sign, is that you and I talk about it, or?
So, yeah, because this is a PUD, we always ask for sign details up front. And then down the line, when you're ready to apply for building permits for the sign, then we'll just refer to what was approved as part of the sign package that you submitted for the planning commission tonight. And then, as long as whoever is applying for the sign permits is consistent with what was approved, then it's usually pretty fine.
So, but it sounds as though there's appetite for the Avastar sign. just trying to understand what you would prefer to have in that situation. I wanna be a good community member and do what's right for the community. If it's something that's important that stays, 100% fine with that. That would be the ideal place for my sign location if I were to choose a place to put that sign. I'm just being honest with you.
I think, you know, what Scott mentioned, and this was before my time, but I know that it was a really big deal when they sort of rebranded that area. And so, some people might raise some eyebrows
And fully respect.
if the sign went away. But at the same time, you know, there's legal rights to things that are on your property, and then there's also just being a good neighbor, I guess. So you can choose.
Yeah, no, perfect. No, I
But-
just was trying to understand.
There may, I was gonna say, I wonder if there might be a hybrid solution to this where the sign could be salvaged and adjusted to the east, because then it could still provide the branding for the industrial park,
Yeah.
but it would be out of your way.
Yeah.
I just don't know how it's attached, if it's got a big base. I know it's in the sea of old pavement, which isn't the most attractive thing in the world. So if it could be salvaged, that might be a really good solution.
Yeah.
Well, I would suggest there's some research go on and find out if there's something in the PUD, in these documents.
Yeah, we couldn't, in title search, we could not find anything that addressed it, so. But that doesn't mean that there may be something else that exists from a previous, plan.
Well, it would have been from the Avastar Park Development.
Yep.
I can certainly look in our building permit records to see, you know, what was on an application, like who was represented as the owner. And I can relay that information to you.
Yeah, that'd be great. As I said, I fully respect the local nature of that name, and if it's important, 100% supportive of it being there. Yeah, we can certainly move around. Obviously, we have a plan that addresses it, so.
There's one in the exact same location on
On
the
the
other
north side.
corner.
Yeah.
So, just my thoughts, I think it should be left there where it is. And I kinda like your alternative location in the middle in front of your store. I mean, you're
That's great.
attracting
That's-
people
that-
off Alpine Avenue.
Yeah, as I said, glad
Get them from
to
both
have it.
directions that way.
Yeah, glad to have it that way. That's no problem. It sounded as though there was maybe some interest in it, but not a problem at all.
Well, do we have a motion to be offered?
Yeah, I can offer a motion for case 21-033, to approve the final area site plan for the Come and Go gas station convenience store and related site improvements in accordance with the plan set. Last revision dated, Trish, do we have a date? 11/31, 2021, located at 2134 Alpine Avenue Northwest within the Avastar CPUD, subject to the following conditions. The applicant shall address all the items outlined in the city engineer's report dated 12/8/2021. We're skipping number 2. The applicant shall provide 3 sealed sets of civil engineered plans incorporating the recommended revisions to the Community Development Department prior to the issuance of a building permit. Findings of fact from section 94-2137E, the final area site plan conforms to the current and proposed City of Walker master plan. The final area site plan is in compliance with the approved Avastar CPUD PASP, and the plan complements existing uses in the area.
Got a motion?
Support?
Clarification here. The date you referenced doesn't exist.
11:30.
It's 30. So
Yeah, 11:30, sorry. I don't know, I heard 31.
That's what I just looked up. I was kind of.
11/30/2021.
I believe we also made a change to that plan as of tonight.
Oh, to relocate the sign?
Relative to the sign location.
Yeah, that you're gonna submit revised plans, so maybe it ought to be today.
Yep, so, I guess plans updated with the, new location for the, ground mounted sign as discussed here today.
Whatever date they put on their plans.
Yep.
Does the date of the plan go to the one we're seeing now with the
With the revisions.
revisions that we're asking for? I'm more comfortable with that than the plan that we've not seen.
The date, the plan that, you're approving, subject to the conditions that, he listed, is the plan that's dated 11/30. And then obviously, when they submit revised plans, they'll have a different date, consistent with the revision.
And I still support it.
Okay, we have a motion by Steve with condition, supported by Tyler. Any questions? All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
How soon are you
Welcome.
looking, how soon are you looking to develop it?
That would be as soon as possible. Yeah, so, you know,
So they'll be tearing up blacktop tomorrow morning?
from a building perspective, I would say this would be one of the very first buildings, very first stores we have in this market. So it'll be open by the end of 2022. We're about six or 7 month process. If we're not in the ground by now going, it becomes a bit more challenging to build over the winter, so we'll probably start in spring, and run from there. So that would be the intent.
Cool.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks.
I wish every plan was like that.
Yeah. Any other business?
No, I don't think so. It's been somewhat slow. We do have some other developments coming in January, so we'll have a meeting on January 5th and then the other one on January 15th or whatever the second one is. 16th, maybe?
5 plus 14.
5 plus 14 is 19.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that.
The mathematician's here. January 32nd.
Yeah, on January 32nd, we also have a meeting. I'm just kidding. So some more stuff coming in West Town in that area. So, yeah, and then, I get inquiries all the time for various locations within the city. And we also touched base with the developer or the architect from that J&H Oil site over on Walker View, or in the Walker View PUD, and it sounds like they're trying to acquire more property so that they can put in a full service road there to reach the parcels to the south, which is the best case scenario, but it sounds like they're running into some difficulty with the owners of those parcels to the south. So we'll see what happens.
Very good, thank you.
Yeah.
Scott, you have anything? Nope. Anything else?
Make a motion to adjourn.
We're adjourned. Thank you.